Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. 7 years and nothing to show for it as One Pulse Foundation abruptly closes down as millions of dollars are wasted. Orlando's Pulse Nightclub became the center of the news universe on June 12, 2016, when a shooter entered the club and murdered 49 members of our LGBTQ+ community. Eddie Sotomayor, the director of the RuPaul's Drag Race cruise, was the first name announced to the world. He worked for our Hotspots Happening Out anchor, Al Ferguson. Al has told many stories of that night and that day. The mass shooting was the largest in American history as of that date. A year later, the One Pulse Foundation was formed to create scholarships, memorialize the nightclub site, and build a museum community center that would ensure those lost and the effects of the entire community were never forgotten. That was more than 7 years ago. This week, all of that came to an end when One Pulse abruptly announced in social media as an offense that it would close. The Pulse owner is gone. Foundation Executive Director Deborah Bowie resigns and phone calls go unanswered. Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out television network, had been in conversation to help a struggling One Pulse Foundation as recently as October, to have a series of interviews at the studio and host a community support event in Wilton Manors. Multiple excuses were provided and narrow parameters provided to be able to support the foundation. In the official social media announcement, the foundation said, quote, "Good intentions are not enough," end quote, as an apparent attack from the foundation on Pulse Club site owner Barbara Pomas. For years, reports indicated that Pomas would donate the property to the foundation, and in 2023, it was revealed she had asked the foundation to pay millions for the site. She resigned from the foundation in April. The city of Orlando purchased the site from the ownership group last month. The foundation also said the closure was also, quote, unanticipated challenges, end quote. Queer News Tonight and Al Ferguson have spoken to a number of key Pulse survivor family and friends to discuss the closure. The top sentiment expressed by sources reflects that millions were raised for the foundation with little tangible results. Pulse Families and Survivors for Justice is an organization that represents many of Pulse survivors and families who celebrated the news. The group has been longtime critics of the foundation, calling for transparency and accusing it of profiting off a mass shooting. On X, formerly known as Twitter, that group posted a statement saying, quote, "For years, we have criticized the One Pulse Foundation for exploiting and harming us. They never fulfilled any of their 3 changing mission statements. While we are grateful they are shutting their doors, we still demand a forensic audit so they are held accountable to their donors and to taxpayers for the millions wasted." This is a developing story that Queer News Tonight will follow closely. Girl, the tea on this is disgusting. How are you, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. How are you robbing from people who wanted to memorialize an event like this? We were also jarred by this horrific event. We were scared. I couldn't leave the house. I was working in a nightclub at the time down in Florida. I couldn't leave the house. I was like, I'm not safe going to any queer space right now. This meant a lot for the entire community. And for you to piggyback off that and basically rob us, specifically those directly impacted, the families and friends, but the whole community to rob us and then just vanish and disappear, and then throw some like shady side comments on Twitter and stuff. Girl, no, that's not how you handle that. Y'all too grown to be acting like that and robbing us. If you that broke, get a job.
You know, they made a quote about unintended consequences, something like that.
Mess.
But challenges.
Unintended challenges, and I get, I'm really thinking they're gonna find a few more unintended challenges coming their way.
Like the law.
Well, because Congress has made that site, the United States Congress, signed by the President of the United States, made that site a national treasure so that this story would never be forgotten, so that this story will always be told, so that we can have safe spaces. You can't just put a little blurb on social media and walk away from the United States government.
Nope.
Yeah.
So their unintended
Challenges.
challenges are going to get a lot more challenging.
That's
And I mean, but honestly though, I would rather have, rather than I mean, we need a memorial, but I would rather have gun control laws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing to prevent this from happening? Make into the state of Florida, they're making it even easier.
Was
Like-
that one of their mission statements?
I don't know.
the changing one.
I don't know, but I know a lot of people think that it would have been great to have a memorial for those people. But I think if some of that money that was used to do this could have gone towards gun laws
Lobbying.
and lobbying for gun
Yeah.
laws, I think that would have been a bigger deal.
Well, clearly there were some other things on the list that the family of those who were lost in the tragedy did not get accomplished. So for them to be praising this closing says,
Yeah.
it screams loud
Right.
in the street.
When you think of the millions of dollars, and when you think about post-traumatic stress and depression, and I have spoken to many survivors over the years and met with many survivors over the years working in healthcare. And not everybody in that club that night had health insurance. Not everybody in that club had a car so that they can get back and forth to therapy. There's so many ways that you can be supportive. And I don't know the word for when you just take people's money. Don't do the honorable
Thief.
thing
Robert.
for the community. And then just
Extortion, thief.
Nasty.
You like the
ass.
extortion?
I like the extortion.
I believe that this story is
Extortionist.
going to go on
Trash.
and on for a while. I'm sure Happening Out Television is not going to let that story.
Hell no.
People are going to be watching, and we'll be following that story.